Today is Tuesday, December 22nd, the 24th day of Advent. I'm Pastor Michael, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Today our text comes from Hebrews 1. Long ago, at many times and in many ways, God spoke to our fathers by the prophets. But in these last days he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed the heir of all things, through whom also he created the world. He is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature, and he upholds the universe by the word of his power. After making purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. That's from Hebrews 1, verses 1 through 3. My first Christmas as a preacher, I chose these words for a candlelight Christmas Eve service. I said some nice things about light and glory I had learned at seminary. I'm sure it was all true, but I had the distinct impression that my words left no impression on the congregation. I've rarely gone back to this text for preaching purposes, probably initially because that sermon seemed to have no glory. But in more recent years, I steer away from this text because I find it simply too profound. My words will only muddy the beauty of the Scriptures. How can I convey just how much God wants to communicate with his people? In many times and in many ways, it says, Adam and Eve in the garden in the cool of the day, God calls out, "Where are you?" God leads Israel out of Egypt with fire and cloud. God chisels his intentions for Israelite life on stone tablets with his own finger. God calls Israel back to himself with fire by burning up Elijah's altar. To Elijah he comes in a quiet whisper, "What are you doing here?" All of these manners of communication pale in comparison to his Son. He now speaks to us through his own Son. And this Son, what can we say of him? This is the Son who will inherit all things. When the history of this age comes to its grand conclusion, this Son will reign over all. What can we say about this Son? This is the Son through whom God created the world. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. That's from John 1. What can we say about this Son? He is the radiance of God's glory, the exact imprint of his nature. If we care to see God, all we need to do is look at this Son. What we see Jesus doing and saying in the gospel is what God does and says. What can we say about this Son? Not only will the world be his in the end, not only was the cosmos created through this Son continues to hold the universe together by his powerful word. Maybe because we can see the smallest details through microscopes and the faraway galaxies through telescopes, we tend to forget that if it wasn't for this Son, the entire universe would disintegrate. And this magnificent Son, he became flesh through the womb of the Virgin Mary. He made the journey from heaven's glory to die on a cruel cross, to reconcile us to God. This Son, who laid helpless in Mary's arms, who lay exhausted in a tempest-tossed fishing boat, who lay dead in the tomb, is now seated at the right hand of God in glory. There is a mystery hidden in all this grandeur. God speaks to us even today through this Son, a babe. The light of the world voluntarily reduced his splendor to that of a flickering candle. He is the radiance of the glory of God. He is the exact imprint of God's nature. He is a babe in his mother's arms, as vulnerable as a flickering candle. I hardly dare write about these words. How can my words do justice to the majesty of these? No, these are the kinds of words you take to the top of a mountain or the roof of your house. You look at the stars and you mull them over. These are the words to which there can only be one response: to fall on our knees in amazement. On my ornament for today, I will draw a scene that brings me to my knees. And as for something to do, Well, some days, thanksgiving and awe is enough. Let that be so today. As you journey on, go with the blessing of God. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May your day end with rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May you rest in his provision as he brings night, and then new dawn.